Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Advancement Center here in Santa Barbara, where the weather is just about perfect. Yeah, this is my first time to greet you in 2020. So, Happy New Year. And I hope that happiness follows you throughout this coming year, which promises to bring in much newness. Yeah. Day one of 2020 was brought in by Genya's broadcast, where she carried us all in her delightful manner and enjoyment of the anticipation of the joy of the newness that is greeting us all. Day three of 2020 was Friday, when David spoke eloquently and altered us and our calendars forever. For you see, he proclaimed January 3rd as the day that everyone shall open their hearts. This was a profound experience that moved me and the others I shared with after the broadcast. He said, "The opening of your heart will leave only room for joy, laughter, mischief in the world that you will create. You have waited for this moment." Friday evening at dinner, Robert spoke of the heart as that which drives the direction of the spirit. Following your spirit is suddenly taking on a more detailed, heartfelt GPS of living and heading us all to our own world of magic and miracles. Now, here comes my invitation to you, which said, "You can't share your worlds, you can only share the dance." And I added, "Each one of us made our entrance to this place, trailing stars and perfection from our origin. When we arrive, well-meaning folks who have our best interest at heart as they teach, train, and insist that we follow the program here meet us. We learn the dance as best as we can. But our world of hidden talents and creativity must remain intact for us to discover. Join me as we discover the newness of our own world of magic and miracles." And then I signed off, Love and Harmony, Barbara. David speaks of opening our heart, but I ask, when did it close? Where do we learn the steps to the dance? Who is leading so that we can follow? Einstein said, "I was educated once. It took me years to get over it." He added, "Surround yourself with the dreamers and the doers, the believers and thinkers, but most of all, surround yourself with those who see greatness within, even when you don't see it yourself." The Advancement Center is the beacon which lights the way for those who have awakened to their true identity, and having searched and found their true family on this elevated platform of living, are in contact on these 3 broadcasts a week. We feel your vitality and support of us and each other. And even if you're watching this broadcast or the YouTube sometime in the future, you are an integral part of the Advancement Center. Now, today, my focus is on the child's world because it is fresh and new and beautiful, full of wonder and excitement, and where we all have come from. We're all born with extraordinary powers of imagination, intelligence, feeling, intuition, spirituality, and of physical and sensory awareness. Too often, that clear eyed vision, that the instinct for what is beautiful and awe inspiring was dimmed and even lost before adulthood. The best gift to each child in the world is a sense of wonder. There's the bird, so indestructible that it would last a lifetime. Sadly, the sterile preoccupation with things is artificial, the alienation from the source of our strengths. Now, to keep alive the child's inborn sense of wonder, he needs the companionship of at least one adult who can share it. Therefore, the dance begins. Rediscovering together the joy, excitement, and mystery of the world above all worlds is essential. This kindles your own world of magic and miracles. Creativity is very much like literacy. We take it for granted. My degrees are in teaching and in counseling. In both endeavors, creativity is essential. As a student teacher in Long Beach, Long Island, in New York, in a fourth grade classroom, I discovered my own creative spirit. I will always remember Jeffrey. He was lost when it came to fractions, and I saw that he was being passed over by the teacher. And I had the freedom to engage Jeffrey. I drew a great big pizza pie and told him there were 4 coming for dinner, and would he please cut the pizza for 4? Without hesitation, he cut 4 quarters, and I put 1/4 or a quarter on each piece. Yeah, we did this with 3 people, up to 8 people, and he got it. He smiled, and his confidence returned. That's all I ever wanted. I took the kids to the boardwalk where there was a lineup of seniors enjoying the sun. I suggested that it might be a good idea if they could visit with these grandmas and grandpas and perhaps learn their stories of when they were in the 4th grade. We even met a grandma who said she would be delighted to come and teach us how to bake bread. And she did. But sadly to say, not all teaching posts were this free. So here we go. The fact is that given the challenges we face, education doesn't need to be reformed. It needs to be transformed. The key to this transformation is not to standardize education, but to personalize it, to build achievement on discovering the individual talents of each child, to put student in an environment where they want to learn and where they can naturally discover their true passions. Now, remembering that we all arrived from our origin with gifts to share, it is easy to recognize the diminishing levels of wonder, excitement, and joy when exposed to a regimented, pre-digested curriculum delivered by teachers who are under the regime of the expectations of the educational system. Young children are wonderfully confident in their own imaginations, but most of us lose this confidence as we grow up. Very many people go through their whole lives having no real sense of what their talents may be, or if they have any to speak of. Sir Ken Robinson, a wonderful speaker on TED Talks, has offered many keys. And he said, creativity is as important as literacy. Human resources are like natural resources. They're often buried deep. You have to go looking for them. They're not just lying around on the surface. You have to create the circumstances where they show themselves. And I found this so interesting because, well, you'll hear. Imagination is the source of every form of human achievement. And it's the one thing that I believe we are systematically jeopardizing in the way we educate our children and ourselves. Because curiosity is the engine of achievement. We have to go from what is essentially an industrial model of education, a manufacturing model which is based on linearity and conformity and batching people. We have to move to a model that is based more on principles of agriculture. We have to recognize that human flourishing is not a mechanical process. It's an organic process. And you cannot predict the outcome of human development. All you can do, like a farmer, is create the conditions under which they will begin to flourish. And they will. For most of us, the problem isn't that we aim too high and fail. It's just the opposite. We aim too low and succeed. Public schools were not only created in the interests of industrialism, they were created in the image of industrialism. In many ways, they reflect the factory culture they were designed to support. This is especially true in high schools, where school systems base education on the principles of the assembly line and the efficient division of labor. Schools divide the curriculum into specialist segments, and some teachers install math in the students, and others install history, and they arrange the day into standard units of time marked out by the ringing of bells, much like a factory, announcing the beginning of the workday and the end of breaks. Students are educated in batches according to age, as if the most important thing they have in common is their date of manufacture. They are given standardized tests at set points and compared with each other before being sent out onto the market. I realize this isn't an exact analogy and that it ignored many of the subtleties of the system, but it is close enough. That was from Ken Robinson's The Element: How Finding Your Passion Changes Everything. And now I'm going to get in touch with him and tell him about the Advancement Center. He also said, we have sold ourselves into a fast food model of education, and it's impoverishing our spirit and our energies as much as fast food is depleting our physical bodies. Human communities depend upon a diversity of talent, not a singular conception of ability. Now, the element is about discovering yourself, and you can't do this if you're trapped in a compulsion to conform. You can't be yourself in a swarm. What a word. The arts especially address the idea of aesthetic experience. An aesthetic experience is one in which your senses are operating at their peak when you're present in the current moment, when you're resonating with the excitement of this thing that you're experiencing, when you are fully alive. He also said, never underestimate the vital importance of finding early in life the work that for you is play. This turns possible underachievers into happy warriors. Yes, to be creative, you actually have to do something. Copernicus, Galileo, and Kepler did not solve an old problem. They asked a new question. And in doing so, they changed the whole basis on which the old question had been framed. Now, when I heard the concept of my title, you can't share your worlds. You can only share the dance. I felt its importance, but it was only after steeping in this idea that the full impact was received and felt big time. I was that little one who entered a family constellation of music, many temperaments, controls, the arts, concerts, performing, healthy eating with no sugar ever allowed, and being the different one when the ice cream truck came along. I also looked like Elizabeth Taylor in National Velvet, a wonderful movie about a hidden identity. A psychiatrist once said that my favorite word is sharing. It felt like an accusation. Miss Clark, the dean of girls in my high school, said to me just before I graduated, Barbara, don't cast your pearls before swine. And believe it or not, sharing my magical world was not appreciated, and at times rather hurtful. Khalil Gibran said, and I found this morning, many of us spend our whole lives running from feelings with the mistaken belief that you cannot bear the pain. But you have already borne the pain. What you have not done is feel all that you are beyond the pain. I always dreamt of finding my real family and of creating a world where children were honored and listened to. Picasso said, all children are born artists. The problem is to remain an artist as we grow up. And at this moment, I am thrilled to say, I found both. You are my real family. Up here at our home called the Advancement Center. And I was invited to be on the board of directors of the Peace School, an acronym for Paradigm Education Academy of Creative Enlightenment. I met Susan in 1981. That was 39 years ago. And here we are, very actively creating that world where children are honored and listened to. And now I'd like to tell you a little story of how that all began. Robert and I were in Australia, and we were invited by a couple in Milford, Pennsylvania, or New Milford, I'm not sure which, to come and take up residence in their beautiful retreat center called Earthgate. Now, the 2010 was quite a wonderful, was it 2010? No, I don't, well, it doesn't matter. At any rate, I think it was the week after we were married. We held a retreat there. And I got in touch with Susan Terry, who lives in North Bay. North Bay is 3 or 4 hours north of Toronto in Canada. And I just wrote to her and I said, Susan, you must come down for the retreat. It's imperative. And she drove, I don't know, 12, 14 hours and arrived in time for the retreat that weekend. And it was a wonderful weekend. And Robert spoke, and people just blossomed, and you could just see them picking up their heads in wonder. And the very last day, Robert and I were sitting at the front of this great big hall, beautiful country there. And I'll never forget, as we left our room, he grabbed a CD. And when everyone was assembled, he asked that the CD be played. And I know most of you know what was on that CD. It was beautiful piano music. And this was the last day of the retreat. And we all sat around in a huge circle. There must have been about 45, 50 people there. Not a word was spoken. And you could feel there was almost a single heartbeat in that room. And when it was over, Robert looked around at all the people and said, "That's where I live." I shall never forget the feeling of those moments. Later, there was a bit of an exercise where everyone formed another big circle, and Robert asked a question. He said, "We're going to go around the room, and I'm going to ask each one, what is your heartfelt desire?" And people said all manner of things. Everything was mentioned: peace, prosperity, abundance, everything. And when it came to Susan Terry, she stood up and she said, "I want to build a school. I want to build the school that I have always wished I could attend, where I was loved, appreciated, and helped in growing and becoming who I really am." And Robert said, "And you will." Now everybody was getting ready to leave and thanking us for this wonderful retreat. And Susan just fell in love with being there and said, "I think I'll stay a few days." And Robert said, "You want to build a school? Go and build it." Now, Susan has a wonderful story that I don't remember the details anymore. But as she drove home all the way back to North Bay, Canada, she saw signposts and signals and words on trucks and buildings, and it all came together. And by the time she got home, she had the name of the school, and it was the Peace School, PEACE, which stands for Paradigm Education Academy of Creative Enlightenment. She called us. She was so excited. She bubbled over with excitement. And of course, she asked that Robert and I take an active part. And we were on the board at one time. And then an interesting thing happened. She almost got swallowed up by the system. And that was her experience. And Robert said, "No, that's not what she's going to do." And so we both left. And then, I don't know how much later, Susan invited me to be on the board of directors. And what Peace School really is re-enchanting education with a universe of limitless possibilities. And JFK, or President Kennedy, said, "If art is to nourish the roots of our culture, society must set the artist free to follow his vision wherever it takes him." And the Peace School was born of her childhood vision and dream for an ideal learning experience where students engage their imagination and explore their world creatively. They are recognized for their individual gifts and talents and are guided to develop to their fullest potential as they discover the magic of life. Our intent and highest endeavor is to enable children to discover their limitless possibilities, to bring meaning to their lives so they may blossom and fulfill their life purpose as leaders and global sovereign beings in a thriving world. And most important, for every child to discover the wonder and the joy of being. I was surprised to see how many peace schools there are listed on the internet. And Susan proudly said, "We are the oldest and the first." And plans are in the works for opening a school in Kenya as well as in Belize. Our board of directors is inspiring and creative. Included is the scientist who gave his findings to Emoto, the one who gives the explanation of all the water. Another who is the creator of eco villages, and a professor. And then there's the founder of CES, Creative Educational System, and the founder, and a woman, the founder of Strang Interculture Solutions. Our next board meeting is tomorrow. And my dear Facebook friend Gutima, I just found this. He said, "Your original essence knows only love. Everything else is copied from your surrounding." What a perfect introduction to David's writing. And now I gift you with a second hearing, or perhaps this one, a third hearing. And the title is Your Beautiful Essence. We each have our own unique view of this life and our expression of what we see, feel, and know is just as unique. Remarkable in its simplicity because it is something that flows from us as easily as speaking our native language. We're not trying to see or express what we see in a unique way. We are just being ourselves. The self that has come here from our origin many, many years ago. We're all composers, masters like Bach, Beethoven, and Mahler, creating a symphony every day with the brilliance of our music. We all have our individual taste in music, clothing, food, and so many other things. It's easy to assume that some of these choices were influenced by our environment when we were young, but in fact, that happened a long time before we arrived here. We often think that we like a type of music because it was being played in our home when we were young. That's a natural assumption. But remember, your parents also ate broccoli every day. And you hated it then, and you still hate it now. The essence of our unique music comes trailing in with us in each incarnation. A scent, a feel, a look. The movement, to put it simply, a dance. It is always here, no matter if you are here in the physical or not. Just think of someone who has passed over, and it will all show up in an instant. Your essence contains all that is you, your energetic blueprint, and all the special characteristics from your origin, and the music, the beautiful music, the individual notes, the melodies, the harmonies, each one resonating with you and taking you home. Instruments being played that may have originated in your home, and voices that you've heard many lifetimes ago. The incredible ability of sound to create quietness, and the movement of that sound to create stillness, and how they both are able to remind you of your eternal magnificence and the magnificence of creation and your creator. Today, I am welcoming you back as your energy and essence has returned once again, inhabiting a new form to serve humanity and assist in the freeing of every human and non-human being on this planet and beyond. We have done it many times before, and we will continue to do it until all are free. There is nothing for you to do. The you who agreed to do this is working through the you that forgot, and it has your full cooperation. It is all being done and will continue to be done until it is all finished. In the meantime, live your life with excitement, joy, happiness, and celebration, following your spirit in every moment, for this is your part, and this is how you are changing the world through you. I think and I thank you. You are awesome, amazing, magnificently bright, knowing all things, one with all things. You are the source of all light. Thank you, David. How wonderful. I'm so happy I found you all. It took a trip to Australia. Now I can't resist because David's other writing from Friday is right here and can be more appropriate. a radiant glow. As the scales that are both seen and unseen begin to fall from your heart, there will be an explosion of energy, the likes that have never been felt before. An uncontrollable burst that produces a light like the sun. And after that, nothing else will ever matter in the same way as it mattered before. You see, the guards that you have placed outside your heart to guard the entry because of the pain from eons of lifetimes of hurt can now relinquish their post. I hereby give them permission by the power and authority that has been given to me to stand down so that this heart can be released to its full magnificence and poured out through the new unguarded open door for all of humanity. And once that door is opened, it can never be shut. And your being will radiate a field directly from your chest that will cause all mankind to celebrate their magnificence and yours. Fear will no longer exist in your world, and when you encounter it in someone else's world, it will lower itself to one knee and bow its head in your presence. The opening of your heart will only leave room for joy, laughter, mischief, and the world that you will create. You've waited for this moment most of your life, but you never believed it would actually come. But now it is here, arriving like a thief in the night with no warning, giving you no time to prepare, and more importantly, no time to resist. You may not even be sure what you are experiencing, but I tell you with great certainty that the open heart that you have been waiting to arrive is now here. Now you can stand tall with your arms opened wide, your heart fully exposed, and at the same time fully protected as you pour your gifts into this physical dimension. And you will say, "Take what you want, for my cup runneth over." And you will realize that you are home, for you will know who you are. And as tears of joy run down your face, you will finally be able to see what lies on the other side of that open door. And you will radiate with the glow of completeness, of knowing, and of newness, for the old will have passed away. And behold, the new has come into being. Feel the power and the beauty as this light pours out from the center of your chest. Hear the music and hear the sound of eternity as this beauty, harmony, and love springs from the center of your being. The roots have been lifted, the cords have been cut. It's always been you. Stick your chest out and strut. We are completely exposed, and so we are completely free. A new transparency that can be felt with nothing to hide, nothing to fear, and nothing to protect. Congratulations. Your heart is now open, and we are free. I just keep saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for each and every one of you being here with us. And we are wishing you a perfect life, perfect health, and a truly magic future. Thank you.